This is Dr. Vaishali and I'm reading from the book Substance of Homeopathy, book written by Dr. Rajan Sankaran, chapter number 30, period 6, third line of the metal. First one is platinum. One of the main symptoms of platinum is delusion he is noble. He feels he is of a superior birth. Born in a high family, he cannot indulge in the everyday ordinary things. He cannot accept his side of himself. He is therefore split into the two sides. 1. Nobility with the concomitant of everything high, that is, high achievement, brilliant discovery, spectacular sign, rare, vulnerable, spiritual, and intellectual. And second is the other side is what? Which he pushes down and look at with a contempt. Is the ordinary everything of the life, the bad side of the man, especially jealousy, greed, contempt, anger, most significant sexuality. Now, nobility involves splitting man into the spiritual and the ordinary, the intellectual and instinctive. Both aspects are equally strong in a platinum, but there is no balance or togetherness. The patient sees only one aspect, that is either purely sexual or purely intellectual or spiritual, and he is unable to integrate these two together. Therefore, we have the symptom of platinum. Mental symptoms alternate with the physical symptom, and sexual symptoms alternate with the mental symptom. And this alternation can occur quite rapidly. There is another alteration too, which is equally significant. Within him, he feels big since he is a noble. But at the same time, in this world of the people, he can feel left out and unable to mix. He remains rare and is unable to form a relationship with other people, just like a metal platinum does not form a compound with any metal easily. On the outside it was not metal, but he cannot compound easily. On the outside, the appearance of platinum is quite ordinary and he can feel unappreciated since inside he feels he is noble and high. This alternate can coexist, that is, bigness alternate with the smallness, egotism alternate with the forsaken feeling. Now, out of the forsaken feeling comes the fear that the few people he can relate to will leave him. Fear husband that he would never return, that something would happen to him, since he feels generally estranged from most, including his own family. And rubric is delusion family does not belong to her own. Estranged from her family. This is also a strong feeling that he has to keep proving his nobility in order that people come to him, since they will not like him if there is nothing noble in him. This creates ambition in him. Means patient is very ambitious. But does all come from, just like a sulfur has the feeling of being a great person. Platinum feels he is noble by birth or the rank. Both of these feelings comes from scorn, embarrassment, and from mortification. Rubric where ailment from mortification. The symptoms of platinum is delusion. In a delusion are delusion sees alone in the world. Delusion cut into the two part into upper half and lower half, unlike the stramonium, which is right half and left half. Upper and lower signify intellectual and sexuality, respectively, you can say. And another delusions were delusion not appreciated, delusion forsaken, delusion disgraced, like a Staphysagra, delusion devil sees. All persons are devil, and thus the platinum person can quite abuse you. Therefore, one gets the idea that the situation is one where the person is treated badly and is not given due respect, especially scorned, embraced, tormented, and criticized. His survival therefore depends on his saying, I don't care what they think about me. They are low born and I am a high born. They are my enemies. So delusion proud from the scorn and persecutions come the feeling of pride and nobility. Once he puts himself in the nobleman's class, he is isolated and he has to prove he is special to survive. He has to split into the two sides we already spoke of. The same situation can come in the case of girl who is badly treated or criticized by her mother for no fault of her. Here the father sides with her. The girl calls her mother devil, while she feels that she is a noble, and which puts on her the stress of proving it. The platinum person is described as a contemptuous in paroxysm against her will. And another rubric is dominating, dictatorial, and proud, with ego and haughtiness. This is not always so. Uh, in their eagerness not to lose someone they can get. Affectionate remain affectionate, amativeness, caring, embrace his companion, and extravagant, exuberant, flatter, kiss everyone. On the other side, an unattractive side of the platinum can be an erotic nature, lasciviousness, libertinism, and even sexual perversion. That the platinum people are thus very strong in their emotion. Either way, they can be fanatically or feeling, including envy, malice, affection, hatred, and felt quite intensely. Similarly, there are an intense feeling of contempt for self, like striking himself or suicide, and sometimes they can withdraw into the sulky, unfriendly mood. The platinum isolates himself in his ivory castle, and he is an ordinary looking man surrounded by the glitter alone, strange and needing to prove that he deserved to be there. Now, a case of the platinum, Mr. A, age of 32-year-old woman, name Mrs. A, age of 32-year woman, mother of two boys, age 5 years and 8 years respectively, was referred to me by a colleague. Her main problem was of a recurrent attack of severe renal pain, and which had been diagnosed as a nephritis. Pains were associated with the fever and frequent burning micturition. These attacks were occurring roughly once in a 2 week for the past 4 months, but had increased in the last 2 months, so that she was almost confined to bed. And her mother and sister were also being treated by the same colleague. And Mrs. A has a loud, shrill, dominating voice and can be very demanding and excited. She tends to exaggerate her problem. Once my colleague remarked to her sister that Mrs. A might be also developing a psychological problem like their mother. This remark infuriated Mrs. A so much so that she phoned my colleague and fired him for over half an hour on the telephone. Soon the colleague referred this case to me. I found her to be very strong, very dominating, demanding, instantaneous relief. And so rubric is shrieking for aids. She was quite egoistic, talking about her achievement, especially her business, whereas her husband, a very mild-mannered person, just watched us quietly during the interview. She has extreme reaction in some situation, as when once her husband was threatened by someone, she started crying, was abusive, suicidal, and uncontrollable, and felt extremely loneliness. Within a week of giving her a dose of platinum, her pain were 50% better, and within 2 months of the starting treatment, her renal pain absolutely disappeared. She has improved emotionally, though the pain infrequently recur in a mild form. Now, second medicine is a aurum metallicum, which I have written about aurum in the spirit of homeopathy in detail, which is also mentioned in my book reading Spirit of Homeopathy, where the aurum is described very well. Second is mercurius. For mercurius, the reader can refer also to my illustrative case chapter. Now, plumbum. The plumbum has a marked fear of being assassinated. Assassination is the word used only for the person who is in a very high position, like a king or leader. So the feeling of plumbum is he needs to be one of the highest performer and in one of the highest position, and all this involves a performance as well as a strong defense, as there is a danger of being assassinated. In this extreme situation, plumbum can have a destructiveness and suicidal disposition too, and he feels alone. So the rubric is company desire, friend off. In rubric like element from anticipation and timidity appearing in public, we have a plumbum, thus making it a political personality. I believe the late Indian Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi might have needed a plumbum. The opposite side of plumbum is total paralysis of the body and the mind, which makes them look stupid and imbecile. Another medicine is next is thallium. I would like to project this idea into the remedy which are less known, and one such is a thallium. Here I would like to show how I study remedy which is less proved. How I could use the symptomatology. When we read thallium from the Fatak Materia Medica, we find here that this rare metal is useful for one, the most horrible neuralgic spasmodic shooting pain like electric shock. Second, numbness or formication started from the finger extending up to the lower limb and down to the feet, lower abdomen and perineum. Third one is paralysis of the lower limb, locomotor ataxia and tremor. Fourth one is hair fall with great rapidity after acute and exhausting disease. Fifth one is a muscular atrophy. Here we notice that there are no mental symptoms written, but I think we can derive the idea of mind from these symptoms itself. We have here the most horrible neuralgic, spasmodic and shooting pain. It is obvious that these pain are violent and spasmodic, indicating that the mind can also be violent and spasmodic. That means it feels attack and attack in return with a great violence. Further, we read that there is a numbness and formication and paralysis of the lower limb. That is absence of sensation and function of the muscles which involve movement, and therefore the other side in the mind must be feeling that the mind cannot move, cannot think and cannot act. If this is the field, means in uncompensated side of the thallium, the cope-up side must have great performance, great agility, great mobility and activity of the mind. Locomotor ataxia indicate a loss of control and uncoordination. In the mind, also the person must have feeling of tremendous uncoordination, confusion and being unable to think clearly. The cope-up side of the thallium in the mind must have a tremendous ability to coordinate the things. From these, when we make a picture of thallium mind, we have on the cope-up side a person who is very active and hardworking, sharp, who is very coordinate in all his activity and actions, who has full control on everything around him, and he feels attacked sometime, and if he does, he will attack very violently in the return. This much remind me of the situation of the general in the midst of coordinating the whole war effort. This leads us to understand the feeling of thallium as the head of the army, as the head of the defense force, next in line to the ruler, who could be a plumber. And in the study of thallium, I have thus shown that one can derive the whole mental picture from the reading the physical symptoms only. This is one method used to study remedy where the mind is not so well known, and also the order to supplement our understanding of the mental picture of the remedy which are partially known.